Hi, my name is Aiden Rodriguez.
Hi, I am Tony. I'm one of the grad assistants here at the Heinz Institute, and today we are with Kecia Palmer-Cousins, an engineer, entrepreneur, and CEO of Aero-Ba-Soul, as well as COO of G&K Sweet Foods. Thank you for being here with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so how did you feel just going out there talking to the students?
No, I loved it. Because I love just giving back and sharing my journey, because you never know who is in the audience that is like thinking about like starting their own business or just going through whatever they're going through, and then some gem of knowledge that you share will impact them and change their life.
Yeah.
And I just like to be a resource, because growing up I had so many resources and mentors and advocates for myself, so I feel responsible to give it back as well.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Was there like a recognizable mentor? You're like, oh, like that's one of the ones that really set me on my path?
Oh, wow. There were so many. Like I said, I was fortunate to have my first mentors, which was my parents, my mom and dad, because they actually started home-based businesses. My mom was a nurse's aide. And after having 4 kids, there was no maternity leave back in those days. So before she got fired from, getting to work late after having 4 kids, and my father, he worked sanitation. So, and my mother didn't drive. Okay. So, she had to depend on relatives to come get us, to babysit us while she, So with all that, she said, you know what, I'm going to just quit. And she started her daycare center in our home. Oh, wow. So I saw entrepreneurship in my house. I saw my mother run a daycare center out of my home. Yes. I saw my father work sanitation during the week and then do a moving business. He had a pickup truck and he moved stuff, which my cousin took to a higher level and created a real full-time moving business. Mm-hmm. And then my uncle started a construction business. My uncle's in South Carolina, because they were in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina back in the 60s, and they were not. One of my uncles, he was a master builder. Wow. And he was the best bricklayer in the company, and he saw his Caucasian counterparts getting a raise, and he kept saying, like, I'm the best bricklayer here, why am I not getting a raise? And his boss said, because Henry, you are Black. So he proceeded to leave the company, and he brought some of my cousins with him and a grand uncle, and they started our family business, Palmer Masonry, that built houses. So he took it out on faith to say, you know what, I'm better than this, and I'm worth everything like everybody else is worth. Yep. So that's in my blood to, advocate for others, to be entrepreneurial. And so me starting my own business, was just going to be a natural. So I had many mentors, family, friends. One of my mentors actually became my godmother, one of my Girl Scout leaders.
That's beautiful.
And Marion Bristow. And so, she was very inspirational to me, because she's one of the first Black female, secretaries back in the day at Consumers Union. Wow. Which is now consumer reporting. Yeah. And so she worked her way up to becoming, working in the marketing department. She used to go, travel on business trips. So just watching her and then seeing how she became she invested in real estate. So I saw her move and groove, and I was like, wow, I want to be like her when I grow up, because she worked in corporate America, but then she took her money and invested in real estate. She gave back to the community, was a Girl Scout leader. She did so much. Mm-hmm. So I've always been fortunate to have mentors, but one mentor that really changed my trajectory in my career was my 6th grade. My principal when I was in 6th grade, I got called to the principal's office. Oh, no. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm a straight A student. What's going on here? And Mr. Edward Williams, we call him our Paul Robeson back in the day, and big, tall, domineering, handsome Black man. And he said, Kecia, he says, your life is going to change. And I'm like, did I get in trouble? He says, no, you're not in trouble. I was top of my class in elementary school. He says, your life is going to change. And he gave me this curriculum. He said, pick a language. I'm like, pick a language. He says, you're going to go to the 7th grade and be in some high achieving program.
Oh my God.
We're going to put you in what they call level 0 classes, because they had levels from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Level 0 was the top college prep classes. Yeah. They said, pick a pick a language. I'm like, okay, I was born in French Hospital in the Bronx. So, I mean, in Chelsea. So I think I'll just learn French.
Yeah.
And go to Paris one day. And then he proceeded to give me all these high-end classes. And he said, because elementary school I went to was mainly like 90% Black. So the middle school that I was going to was going to be integrated, mixed. But the class I was going to be going to was going to be where other students were like also high achievers. And so that really just made me really like work even more harder to just keep up with them. And I kept with that same class where many of them went to Ivy League schools. I mean, I still keep in touch with a lot of them to this day. They went to MIT, Harvard. I ended up going to BU.
Because you saw everything at a young age.
Yes, but he getting called into that principal's office because he knew that he was like, you are a high achiever. We're going to keep you on that track once you leave this elementary school. So he really, he changed my life, right? He really did, because he saw the potential in me. And all my teachers up until that point always told me that I was special. So to have my family tell me I was special, to go to school to say I was special, to this day, you can't tell me I'm not special. Right? So, yeah, but my high school, my sixth grade principal, Mr. Edward Williams, he was the one who really just put the ball rolling to change my life. And it's been changed ever since.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So in your presentation, you talked about the 3 C's: communication, collaboration, and connections. Like, I just wonder, like, how'd you come up with that, and that being like your title of your entire presentation?
Because that's what I live by, and those are the 3 things that have really changed my life. Because you have to, communicate. So I worked at Verizon for 25 years, right? It's a telecommunications company. So we focus on customer service, and it's how you communicate. And when you meet folks, that makes a big difference. Like, I meet you, I have to ask you, what is the best way for me to communicate with you? That means that I respect what is going to be our relationship. And I want to make sure that I give you what you need and vice versa. So do you communicate via text? Are you a phone person? Like, are you physical, right? I added a lot of pictures to my presentation because not everybody likes words. Right, so you have to just, I added QR codes, right? I have to stay in touch with technology, right? Because no one really carries around business cards. So my business cards have the QR code, and I carry a business card, and it's plastic, so you can't break it. So you have to know how to communicate to work with people, right? Collaborate. I make my competitors my collaborators. It's enough of the pie for everyone. So it's sometimes you can go after business, and it's better when it's more than just one person, because maybe my company can take this piece of the project, you take that piece of the project, right? When we're in college here, like, when you do it in your study groups, right? If you're having challenges with your studies, maybe somebody gets this concept, this formula, and they can break it down for you. So again, when you collaborate, you get things done. You can get things done faster together when you collaborate, right? And then communicate, collaborate, connect. It's all about connections, right? We all are connected through different ways, right? There's different parts that I like to fill of myself. So I'm academia. So I will always be in somebody's school, taking somebody's classes somewhere. I love being in an academic environment. I like to just have downtime. So I like to give back. So I may also always be involved in some type of community project. I'm civically engaged. I was born in the 60s, Civil Rights, Voters Act, you name it. That's the environment that I grew up in. So I'm going to always care about advocating for the rights of people. So I joined those groups, and which gives me connections to the things that I can help make better. I'm an ex-athlete, right? We're competitive. So I like to stay connected, stay on top of like what is the latest and greatest. Like I said, like with sneakers or just with anything, right? With the trends, and then what's important. And so politics. I'm not a politician, but I like to stay on top of like who's in charge, who's setting policy, who's not doing the right thing. And so you could be like Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever. Everybody has a right to have their voice at the table, and we have to respect that so we can learn from each other, right? And those who may not want to vote, try to convince someone, well, then why aren't you voting? So again, connections are really key to to a bridge to access to different opportunities. So I really believe in connections, and we are all part of the universe. So we're all connected, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
I just take advantage of making sure that my connections are positive, and beneficial to myself and to others.
Yeah, exactly. So that actually ties perfect into our next question, which is, you talked about your network, which has a lot to do with connecting and collaborating with others. How did you use that to leverage yourself to be more open to new opportunities? And how did you take advantage of those opportunities?
Because you know why? Because I was very fortunate to have a lot of mentors and advocates who taught me the importance of connections and collaborating and all that other stuff. Because a lot of times, like I said, I was once a college student too, right? Where I didn't have all the answers for things.
Yeah.
And because I went to because I was always involved I was never afraid to take risk. Never afraid to take risks. I was always very curious, right? One of my favorite books was like Curious George, right? I like mysteries. So I just know that the more open you are to connections, the more it helps you personally and professionally to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to laugh at myself and to make mistakes. As you saw, I spilled a whole glass of water up there. And people like, ugh. I'm like, it's just water, people.
Exactly.
Like, right?
Yeah.
People like, oh gosh, you got to keep it going, right?
And like in your discussion with the students, you also talked about risks and taking advantage, and with that, taking advantage of opportunities that comes with risk and decision making. So what process did you go through to make those decisions that may have been risky to eventually get those opportunities?
So, it comes back to training. So in the home, my parents always taught us, right from wrong. And when this happens, do this. So when you're giving a solid foundation, right, of these are the rules, and then we were given a spiritual foundation too. And then I got a strong academic foundation from all of my schooling, from pre-K to college, right? So I've taken all of that, and the way that, and especially with engineering, it shows you engineers think so differently from everyone else, right? Like we could be talking right now and you could say, you know what, I have to go across the street, right?
Yeah.
And so you may say, you know what, okay, I'm going to go straight this way. I'm like, you know what, no, wait a minute, maybe go down the stairways, do this, do that. It's more than one way to get somewhere. So I use all my problem solving skills to get through my days and to make my decisions.
Yes.
And then I also like to read memoirs, right? You can learn a lot from how someone else lived and how they navigated through life and how they get through their challenges. Because you're right, somebody up there somebody whose personality is not like mine, they would have said, you know what, that's it. I'm so embarrassed. What do I do?
Yeah.
I just kept moving. Right? I was like, okay, the water spilled. Okay.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's life. Life is going to happen, And when you wake up today, you're like, my plans are to do this, but then tomorrow I got to do that. Yeah. Stuff happens. You can't sweat the small stuff. But my training as an engineer has helped me to think about plan A, B, how to take risks, when to not take them, and to take other people into consideration. How is this decision that I do, how's it going to affect them, right? And I do a lot of that thinking. I've always thought like that. I put it into use with my personal life, with my children, my husband, with the community things I get involved in. I'm very consistent. What you see is what you get, right?
Yes.
So somebody talks about meeting me, they're like, oh yeah. They will tell you the same thing about me. Like, it would not be that off. They're like, yep, she does this, she does that. And I'm like, yep, that's what she is. I am who I am.
And speaking on that, you talk a lot about risk and having to balance that. Regarding that, I want to ask about certain challenges that you had to experience and how did you overcome them as an entrepreneur?
So, as I mentioned before, one of the things that happened was when you have a partner, right? You don't run a business by yourself. So I chose to have two different partners for both my businesses. My husband and myself, we co-own Aero-Ba-Soul Incorporated. We've had that since we were dating. Now we're married, kids, family, whatever. Thank you. So I feel fortunate that I have married my best friend and be in business with my best friend. right?
Yeah.
So I minimize my risk there because we're engineers too. We think alike. We have our same values. So minimizing your risk means making sure that you partner with someone or do things with people whose values and missions align with what you are. So they align with your business, your personal, whatever. That makes things a lot easier. But sometimes that may not happen, right? And so a lot of clients that I've had, I had to let them go because their values and missions didn't align with me. I.e., they didn't respect my time. So if I come in there and do a job for you and it's delayed pay for months. I remember like this one client I had, I calculated how long it took for them to pay me based on holidays. So imagine I work for someone for a couple of months. Thanksgiving passes by, Christmas passes by, my son's birthday passes by in January, MLK. So I finally got payment Valentine's Day. You follow the months. How happy would you be to keep that client that meant that from November to February, I had to wait for payment that I did. By that time, I was already working on stuff for the following year. I had to step away and I really loved working with that client. I really did.
Yeah.
But it was all about the respect and no, because if I didn't have a safety net of savings, all those holidays would have been very depressing for me, right? Just to say wow, I couldn't partake and do certain things because this person owes me money. So from that lesson, I had to learn how to just make sure you'll put all your eggs in one basket, diversify, and as money's coming in, you got to make sure that you plan for the next couple of months, right? So that's how you can minimize your risk, right? And also too, know that you have negotiating power, right? Whether it's when you apply for credit cards or lines of credit or whatever, everything's negotiable, right? With everything you have, right? When you talk to your friends, let's go to this movie. No, let's go do that. Well, let's negotiate, okay? And then sometimes you have to say, you know what? It's not even worth it. If this makes you that darn happy, that's happy for you, guess what? I can go see this another time by myself. It's okay, right? But you have to go through this decision-making process in your head and saying, what is the outcome, right? What are the benefits? What's going to happen, right? So, and we all got choices in life to make.
Yeah.
That reminds me of how you're talking about how you have to set personal boundaries for every connection, partnership that you do. And so where did that come from? And how would you encourage someone else to do that? Because it's a lot of people pleasing personalities, but you still want to be business people. So how would you encourage someone like that to really set those boundaries?
Okay, so I will share something with you. So I had, one of the major companies around here had a 100th year anniversary. And what they did for their 100th year anniversary is they agreed to mentor 100 business owners for 100 days, right?
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that was great. It was IBM, okay? So and then what they do is they invited us in and we did speed dating. So imagine you got to meet all these IBM, staff people, and you got to go, and they had it okay, this is the legal department, this is the marketing department, this is that. So you just went in there and said, okay, I'm a business owner, maybe I need help with marketing. So you got to talk to some of the marketing people and say, okay, thank you, talk to legal. By the end of that night, you as a business owner had to choose a mentor. And so I was like, well, who do I really connect with? I met with a lot of people, but I already knew this one person. I'm like, yes, if I get her, that'll be golden. And it took me 3 days to get the nerve to call her because it just seemed so natural. I'm like, it could have been that easy. When I finally called her, she said, what took you so long? She said, you knew that we connected right away. And I was like, oh my God. And we started this mentoring relationship. We had it down to a science, every third Thursday, we would meet at Panera's, and then she would just share gems of knowledge with me. I think my trademark for my company had expired. She helped me connect with the IBM legal people everything we talked about, she was on it. I only had 100 days. Boom, boom, boom. And then I did something that I should not have done.
Oh.
She and I had the relationship, but I had a business partner. And then I brought her into the mentoring relationship. And so when I brought that in, then it had to be like, oh, well, she can't make the Thursday meetings because she's working full time, or she has to do this. You know, so like all these things we had to just say, oh, okay, then no, not this Thursday. So we started breaking up the rhythm that she and I had.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I was also told, that was IBM. Okay. And then I also was, so the relationship, so the mentoring ended after the 100 days. But it probably would have gone further if I hadn't brought the other person in, because now that person was like, now I have to worry about this other person, her schedule, and the magic just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right. And so then also too, so that was one thing. So that was one mentor that I'm like, wow, like I really lost. Our families were like similar. It was just perfect. But I brought in that person, and she says to me, you know what? She said, for any mentoring relationship you have in the future, do not bring in anyone else, because it changes the dynamics of that relationship.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And I have never done that I've left it alone when I've done that with building a relationship with someone. That's unique. It's special, right?
Yeah.
Then also too, what I didn't know was that at the end of that 100 days, IBM was about to announce a new president. The president had me on her radar to mentor. But because my company did not have like, you know, the revenues, because she had like, you know, certain criteria, like I met all the criteria. She said, I love her energy, her passion. She said, but she's not making no money. And I have to make sure that whoever I mentor, they already know how to make they already have a track record of saying, okay, I made this much, but now I'm going to go to the next level. That person became the CEO of IBM.
Wow.
Gina Ramanetti. And you can look it up.
That's amazing. Yeah.
But I was this close to like being mentored by like, wow, the CEO now of like the company, because I wasn't making enough revenues, because we had not been focusing so much on the revenues, because at that point we both were afraid to leave our 9-to-5s to do the business full time. You see, so again, because we didn't take a risk to say, you know what, that's it, we're both going to do this, we lost the opportunity to even grow the business better. And you can fact check all of that. Like I said, Gina Ramanetti did become the CEO of that company, but I was like, oh my God. So now when I think about decisions, I don't procrastinate about certain things, because I'm like, this is what happened before. So you already know the consequences. So if you can avoid it, let's just, you know, jump on it.
Yeah, because then it also ties back to your point of like how everybody's time is so valuable. So,
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. With that, this is coming on our last question now.
Okay.
So you had a lot of questions out there with the students and everything, and they were asking you for advice. Why don't you take this opportunity to just give advice to aspiring entrepreneurs and how they could probably better their skills in terms of like leveraging networking opportunities and managing their time, etc., with what you talked about with the 3 C's, all that. So
so it's important to communicate, collaborate, and connect. And so just be open to the possibilities. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Do not be afraid to just tell people what your ideas are. No one's people may try to steal your ideas, but no one can do things the way you do it. That's your secret sauce. Like I tell people all the time, I'm an engineer, I'm a project manager, I'm a business management consulting. When you work with me, you get someone who's like a wellness person and who's an engineer. Right?
Yeah.
So I engineer you to wellness, right? But the whole point is you cannot be afraid to just take risks and take chances, and just most of all, just be yourself. There's only one you, right? And learn from your mistakes. If you fall down, just get back up. Like I said, today I was doing a presentation in front of everybody, right? I spilled a whole glass of water.
Yeah.
And I just kept it moving. I'm like, okay, so are you here to hear the information, or are you going to focus on me just spilling this glass of water? You have to learn how to laugh at yourself and admit that, you know, things are not going to always go right. And when they don't go right, you know, just shake it off and just repivot, okay? It's okay to transform yourself and to just reinvent yourself every day.
Yes.
The world is waiting for your business idea, product, or service. We need you.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Kecia.
you.
I appreciate you so
Yep.
much.
Appreciate you more.
Thank you for being with us today.
Yes, yeah, but you can be anywhere, but you all are here, so I'm present. And when you're somewhere, just be present. Just really be present.
Yeah. All
Don't
right.
miss out. Okay? Good luck.
That wraps up everything. For more great content like this, please follow us on social medias on Instagram and our YouTube channel at the Heinz Institute. Stay tuned for more content. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep.